Welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the official podcast of GeoWoodstock 18 right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Each week, we're going to talk about caches and cachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're searching in the closet for the 1986 Flowbee, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
Oh, I'll be right back. Hang on. Oh, never mind. I'll look for it later. Well, of course, that means it's time to bring in our soapy simian. Some say he is indistinguishable from a Fig Newton. And others say he'll challenge you to a competitive hand-washing contest. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
Hola, my friends. Good to be here.
It's all a competition with you, isn't it?
It's always, everything's always a competition. Absolutely. And speaking of everything's a competition, I am going to bring in our illustrious guest for tonight. To whom everything is also a competition. Chris, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. I didn't know which Chris you were talking to for a second. I didn't want to be presumptuous there, but Thank you. It's always nice to hang out with you guys.
We love having you.
It's great to have you back. And of course, obviously, as people hopefully know, as they're joining the show live tonight, we are going to be talking with you about the big news that dropped on Tuesday this week, the 20th anniversary celebration of GeoWoodstock, and we'll get into all the deets on that.
Oh, that news!
Yeah, that news. I mean, you know, it's you can't turn on the TV without getting some sort of news or the internet, or you know.
I thought it was the
news, but
I thought it was a Munich canceled Oktoberfest. That was the news.
That is sad news. I'm talking about good news.
Mm-hmm. I thought we were talking about streaming TV stuff. I've been binge watching all day to prepare for this.
Oh.
Is that not what we're?
Right. Oh, it is now.
That's the after show.
Now, don't spoil the ending of Tiger King, but we can talk about the first couple of episodes.
How about we just don't talk about Tiger King, period? I'd be good with that.
Oh,
fine with me. I know nothing about it.
Well, you know what? We won't talk about tigers, but we will talk about sharks. Quick reminder that we appreciate the support of our patrons who helped.
What a segue! That was really a pro move.
That was smooth, man. I was
solid. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no, I was thinking it, but I'm glad you
really impressive. Oh man,
he's had a lot of practice bringing us back, putting this train back on the rails.
That means a lot to me coming from Rock Chalks.
That is nice. I'm just gonna sit back and watch the pro work. Oh.
Well, guys, Landsharks wants to say a huge thank you to all of you who continue to support them by placing orders during this time. And hey, if you're at home solving puzzles, or maybe you're planning new cache hides or organizing your geocoin collection, well, there's lots of good stuff that can bring you geocaching joy. You'll get an extra 15% off most items with the code SHARKZ, SHARKZ 15. So there you go.
The shark isn't going across me. I'm feeling a little left out here.
It's jumping you.
Does that mean I don't get that? I don't have access to that discount? I don't know what the. Oh wait, now it didn't go across Chris. No.
There you go. Yeah.
Now it's all right.
It's gone. It's done.
I'll put it back here.
But the discount is still there. There you go.
Is that available to Americans, Jay, or is that a Canadian only thing?
I believe it's to Americans and Canadians.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I know that's a touchy subject for you.
The Canadians are
the other way around.
The Americans.
There you go.
I almost tweeted. I think it was a tweet that you retweeted something that there was something going on up there in BC a few days ago. There was some sort of a promotion. I can't remember what it was, but it was
the Tulip Festival.
Yes, that. And I realized that was effectively a Canadian-only thing because of the travel restrictions. So I thought that was a little tone-deaf of you to share that, but that's fine. It's fine.
Well, as it turns out, most of my followers are actually Canadians.
The next time you complain about us and how we're ruining your life with our promotions that are U.S. only, I'm going to come back at you with that tulip thing, because as soon as I saw it, I thought that really, my wife is huge into tulips, and I thought, well, that'd be really cool. And then I immediately realized, well, I can't travel up there now, so I don't know.
My sincerest apologies to Rachel.
Yeah, you would apologize to her. I see what you did there, and I understand.
Can we have you on every week? because we need this.
Yeah, I'm enjoying just sitting here listening to you go at it. So
Yeah.
Well, this is pretty much an average hike with Chris and I think.
I was going to say apologies to the chat room for having to see us air our grievances in public.
There you go. Well, folks, if you want to know more about supporting this show and making sure that Rock Chalk comes back for more monkey abuse, click that Patreon link on the cashingnw.com website. All right. And now it's time to switch to our glows.
Oh, well, I want to say that, Chris, perhaps the only challenge you have lost that I can think of is your battle with the Flowbee.
Oh,
The
careful.
Flowbee. I'm blanking.
Okay.
Explain.
Well, I'll let you have some time to research that as we jump into the glow.
It's Google time.
Thank you. Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
folks, it's time for the glow, what we call the geocaching log of the weekend. We need your glows. We want you to send them to us because whether you read it or whether you wrote it, we want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. Send an email. Perhaps you discovered this while out in the field. Send us a field recording to feedback@cashingnw.com. You can call into 253-693-TFTC or use the voicemail tool right there on the website and show us how you glow.
yes, indeedy do. How about that?
How about that?
Yeah. So this week's glow was sent.
Oh,
in
the
from-
Flowbee. Nice.
There we go.
I got it now. All right.
There you go.
That's pretty awesome. I'll look more into that later. But yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm caught up,
Okay.
as you were.
This glows from Green Words. He says that she and Wet Coaster were in Harrison Hot Springs, BC last weekend, and they looked for a cache that was GC4F822, but they couldn't find it. However, the log of the last finder was so great that, well, she sent it in as a glow, hoping that Wits End would read it on the podcast. And here we are. The cacher name is Forest Forager, and they found it back, November 20th. The log says, I'm still looking for a word in any language that describes the situation of wishing to be alone in an area, which is usually void of people, yet worlds collide, and it turns out other people decide to be in the same weird place as you at the same time. I made my way up the creek bed to the vicinity of this cache on a chilly weekday when I knew there wouldn't be too many tourists about. And yet, up the hill come two nice ladies with their dogs. They stopped about 15 feet away and looked at me, wondering what I might be doing there. I tried to act like I was just having a solitary moment in nature. I was, kinda. But they were obviously puzzled by my presence. Me being in my work uniform didn't detract from the confusion. I said, "Don't mind me," and they said, Are we okay?" I guess they thought I was doing something official. I was, kinda. So it became apparent as I hung around waiting for them to move on that they were waiting for me to move on. Could they be going after the cache too? So I finally asked, "Are you waiting for me to leave the area? Am I interrupting something?" They said, "Oh, no, we'll be leaving shortly." I have no idea what they were doing since they were somewhat hidden by a big boulder. And then they left, glancing back at me several times, and then I safely retrieved the cache. Darn muggles wanting to enjoy the same beautiful spot as me.
Oh, funny. Yeah, that's happened a few times. Maybe not quite that dramatically, but
It
Yeah.
makes me wonder what kind of uniform she was in.
I don't know.
Forest Forager. Yeah, it'd be
Oh, squirrel. No, that's
squirrel uniform. Yeah.
they're a forager. Yeah.
Oh, hey, folks, if you want to add anything to tonight's topic, use the hashtag HQ. See how short we made that? Land Monkey wanted to use hashtag 20th anniversary celebration update. And you had to spell out, the numbers. You
Spell
couldn't
out
use.
the numbers. Yeah.
Feel free to use that as well. And of course, if you have anything to add for the after show, you can use the hashtag FATAS, and we'll talk about that later. So just before we talk with Rock Chalk, I just want to say that our thoughts and prayers are with IHAM and Monkey Cakes during this time. So guys, we love you. Now so Chris, are you ready to go out and buy a Flowbee? Here's what I didn't know. You can still buy one.
I'm intrigued. Let's put it that way.
If there was ever a time that people needed a Flowbee.
Yeah.
Except shipping will probably get it to you in July.
Talk about a product ahead of its time.
Yep, exactly. Just in case you're wondering, they're about $100 without the vacuum.
That sucks.
So 180, I think, with the vacuum.
No, Jim, it doesn't.
Oh,
I
keep getting that wrong. Thanks for hitting that softball I lobbed to you.
All right. Well, why don't we get into it? We've introduced Rock Chalk. He's here to join us tonight. Really looking forward to having a great chat about all the stuff. And we're glad you could join us tonight. I imagine you guys are pretty busy.
It actually has been surprisingly busy lately, and obviously a lot of that having to do with getting the 20th anniversary celebration moved. And so there's been a lot of work with that over the last few weeks. And then just regular stuff. I mean, there's a lot of projects that folks around HQ are working on. I shouldn't say around HQ. I mean, HQ staff is working on at their respective homes. Yeah. We had our monthly company meeting today, and that was all online, of course. So whatever, 70 something of us gathering virtually, which was actually nice. It's nice to see everybody, and we've had different ways that we have gotten together virtually, whether, once every week or so, we'll have a virtual lunchroom, and we have a virtual happy hour once every week or two. So there's various opportunities to see people, and trying to find other creative ways to stay connected with everybody, because that's such a big part of what makes it a great place to work. Is we have a very collaborative environment and a really great culture, and people enjoy being around each other. And so I think that's what people have missed the most, is just that daily interaction. But we're trying to find ways to keep having that. And again, folks just continuing to push forward with projects and trying to keep improving the tools and working on stuff that we can keep doing to support the community.
Well, we appreciate all that you guys are doing there. It's obviously a big time of upheaval and, chaos for everybody. I know that everybody probably in here in the chat and online knows all about it already, but just in case somebody's listening to this and really didn't hear the news or doesn't know what's going on, can you maybe just recap a little more details about the big news on Tuesday, what has gone on with changes and postponements and all?
Yeah, so the geocaching 20th anniversary celebration was scheduled to be held August 15th of this year. It will now be held August 21st of 2021. GeoWoodstock, as Jay will talk about a little more, I'm sure, will also be held next year on August 28th, so a week after the HQ event. And we also learned that Going Ape will be held August 22nd of next year. So that will be the day after the HQ event, and then GeoWoodstock the following weekend. So we still have a week of really awesome celebration to look forward to. We have more time to look forward to it now.
Yeah.
So the anticipation can build even more than maybe it already had. So yeah, that's the big news, that we have to postpone this thing, but we're still going to celebrate 20 years, and it's still going to be fantastic. It'll give us even more time to work on it. We are really, I mean, we hated to have to do it, but it was obviously the best decision to make. And I think everybody knew that. And once we knew that we had to do it, it was just a matter of working through the venue issues that might have come up. And once we got that done, we were able to make that announcement and hopefully give people time to adjust their plans and start making new plans for next year.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And huge decision. A lot of people working very hard behind the scenes all together, which is fantastic. And we'll talk about some more of that later. But obviously a huge decision made for some pretty obvious reasons. Generally, what has been the response you guys have heard to making the announcement?
The response has been overwhelmingly positive. I think the community totally understood what was going on. I mean, you'd have to be under a rock to not know what's been happening and the severity of the situation. And when this, when COVID-19 first started becoming part of the public consciousness, I mean, we knew then that this might not happen in August. So we've known that for a little while. But we wanted to give it time and see how this thing started to play out. And once you start seeing stuff like the Olympics being postponed and some of these major events, that it became pretty clear pretty quickly that it just wasn't going to be able to happen in August. I mean, we hope that things get better and that folks are able to gather in some way by then, but we had to err on the side of caution and just assume that next year would be the safer time to do it. We imagine 10,000 or more people maybe coming to the HQ event from all over the world. This is, as you guys know, as we all know, it's a global game, and people were talking about coming from so many different countries, and it just wouldn't have been, A, it wouldn't have been responsible to have the event, but then B, to wait any longer would have also been a hardship for people that are making these plans from all over the place. So we wanted to give people as much time as possible to, make different arrangements with, people have booked their airfare and lodging and all that stuff that goes into making a big trip like that. So it's a bummer. We were so bummed out to have to postpone this thing because we so were looking forward to it. And but again, we're just going to start looking forward to next year.
Absolutely. And there's so many other pieces involved. I mean, the event itself is huge, and there's a lot of pieces and logistics to that, but you guys have also extended the community celebration events and what is it, the CETO season? There's a whole ton of things that extended, moved, or rescheduled. So we know you guys have been busy. Yeah,
exactly. There's a lot of different stuff with the locationless cache and the CETO season and the memory lane promotion. There's a lot of different things that we've been trying to make some adjustments so that we can still enjoy those things at a time when, people are more able to get out and participate.
Yeah. Now, since geocaching will be 21 in 2021, will there be beer?
There will be a beer garden. That was part of the original plan. So I would certainly assume that it will still be a part of it.
Nice. So with the dates changed, does that affect any of the activities that have already been planned for the event itself?
No, we still expect to have the same things and hopefully more things than we had already been planning on for this year's celebration. There are going to be bands and food vendors and of course geocaching vendors as well. And we had some speakers lined up and things of that nature. So hopefully the people that we're planning on being a part of it this year their schedules will work for next year as well. And that's what we'll be starting to plug away at now.
Nice. In the chat, Keith says, I appreciate the fair warning about this rescheduling.
Yeah, that really helps.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair representation of the general feedback that we've gotten, was that most folks knew it was inevitable, and it was just a question of, okay, hopefully you can tell us soon enough so that we can make our plans or change our plans and hopefully be a part of it next year.
I don't think anybody was really surprised.
Right.
But we understand, disappointed, but understood, and it's going to be great. Absolutely going to be great. Now, we talked about all the different pieces that you guys coordinate with the CETO season and all that, but there are other things. You mentioned the Going Ape event, GeoWoodstock and all. Did you guys make the decision on your own to postpone everything and then inform the other events, or did you guys all work together? And was it a collaborative process, or you work together on that?
Certainly there was some collaboration there. Each event, of course, has their own venues that they're dealing with, and there's a matter of, well, if we couldn't get Seattle Center for the weekend that we would have wanted it for next year, that could have thrown a big wrench into things. And same with the folks at GeoWoodstock and Going Ape. So we were fortunate that everyone has been able to make different arrangements. That was the thing. Once we knew that we had to reschedule the HQ event, the biggest matter was with working with Seattle Center and making sure that there was a date that would work around the same time frame next year, and then getting in touch with Jay and Helen and Chris and the folks up there and saying, what does it look like for the GeoWoodstock stuff? And fortunately, they were able to make things work with their venues. And so I feel like we were really fortunate to be able to still have this work out to where it's going to be this great week-long, 7 to 10 days of geocaching celebrations between Ape and then us and GeoWoodstock. And it still would have been great to have 3, even if they were separate events at different times. That still would have been fun, but I just think the fact that it's going to be all together in that time period where folks coming from other places can make a week of it, I just think that adds something to it, that's still able to be a possibility. And then the exciting news that the maze would be up there in BC is super cool too. So yeah, we're just really excited that everything fell into place the way that it has, and as great as it was going to be this fall. I mean, you could argue that maybe it's going to be even better next year. Of course, just adding the maze, I mean, that's a huge deal, and we'll see if we can up our game a little bit too, and who knows? I mean, but I just think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Yeah, you've definitely mentioned a few of the highlights for that weekend, the week of events going on. But if we focus just on the weekend in Seattle, as maybe a reminder, because it's been a while since the initial announcement came out and the planning happened around the 20th anniversary celebration in Seattle at Seattle Center. Can you maybe remind us of what some of the key highlights will be for that event specifically that people can look forward to?
Well, there's a number of things that we were starting to look at. Having a reviewer panel and having speakers and cache makers and geocaching vendors from all over. We had some great food vendors, some food trucks set up. Just the location is pretty fantastic to have an event in the shadow of the Space Needle, which of course is such an iconic thing. And so if you're coming from other places, I think those of us in the Northwest maybe we're even just, the Space Needle, whatever, it's just there, we're all kind of used to it. But people that are coming from other parts of the US and Canada and from other parts of the world, being able to see the Space Needle as part of what folks do when they come to visit Seattle. So to be able to have that to be part of this celebration is really exciting. Of course, we'll have Adventure Labs. We'll have Signal around, to have that locationless cache experience. And then a lot of people, of course, making a visit to HQ part of their trip as well. And so, yeah, there's just an awful lot and that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of other things that we're going to be working on between now and then. to make this one of those unforgettable weeks for all the geocachers that are coming in.
Well, you just mentioned visiting HQ. I know there was time slots to sign up and the whole bit. Is that going to be rescheduled as well, or are those time slots now open and it's first come first serve again in 2021?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. We basically had to cancel all of the reservations that were in there because the dates are all going to change, of course. And so early in January, we will reopen that scheduling system, and it'll be first come first serve again. And folks can reserve their spots to come by and visit HQ when they're here as part of that celebration week.
Nice.
Very cool. Yeah, it's good to know because that's certainly one of the complications that arose from the rescheduling that people should be aware of and understand.
And yeah, everybody should go and visit HQ. It's a fantastic place.
Yeah, and it was kind of a bummer on one hand that a lot of folks got their free ticket and looked forward to it, and you hate to have to cancel that, but logistically it just wasn't going to work to try to reschedule people that had those tickets for this year. So hopefully most of the folks that wanted to come this time around will be able to make it work for part of their schedule next year.
There you go. So something to keep your eye on if you missed getting your registration slot last time. So
yeah, and it was I think we were very close to 100% full already.
I'm sure.
And gosh, we're what 4 or 5 months away. I mean, to have it already be filled up was wild.
Yeah, not surprising with the amount of people you're expecting to have there. Now, as you alluded to before, it was quite the military precision operation to get this rescheduling done and the announcement done. What would you say was the most complicated or difficult part of the entire rescheduling of this event?
Well, I think the biggest issue was just working with the venue and making sure that it would be available for the date that we wanted next year. And there's contracts and things of that nature that fortunately I didn't have anything to do with, but of course Brian and our event planner that we were working with, they were the ones that worked with Seattle Center and got that all ironed out. So that was the biggest potential stumbling block, but fortunately everything worked out. And the most difficult thing, honestly, was just the fact that you had to say we're gonna postpone this thing. That's just a huge disappointment, and nobody wanted to do that. So that was the most difficult part. But once that decision was made, it was just a matter of working with the venue, and that fell into place, thankfully. And then, of course, working with you folks up there with GeoWoodstock, and it was just great that everything fell into where GeoWoodstock and our event and Going Ape are all able to postpone this thing and still have that great week of activities set up for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got to say, on behalf of Christy and Helen and Chris and myself, that you guys have been fantastic to work with as partners. And it really shows that it is a partnership between these two major events in the Pacific Northwest that are just going to be such an amazing, fun opportunity for people next summer.
Well, and if I'm speaking personally, I mean, the most difficult thing for me was probably that I don't get to have Helen's dessert bars until next year. Although,
bars.
Yeah, as soon as I'm capable of traveling, I think the first place I might go is the Land Shark store, and just
on a Friday.
If that's when I have to go, sure. And just say, you guys have them, right? Are they here? But yeah, no, it is a great partnership, and it's been a pleasure to work with you folks.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Now we hit on a few other events, items, things that are going on. Did we recap them all? Is there, like, you probably have a list tattooed to your arm of all the things you've had to do this recent week to reschedule. What else has changed except for the big three events?
Yeah, so as far as the stuff from HQ side, I'll just go through the list. So the locationless cache, finding signal, that opportunity has been extended through next year, through December 31st of 2021. Of course, the main opportunity to see signal and log that locationless cache would be at mega and giga events. And since so many have been postponed already for this year, we just thought the best thing to do was to extend that opportunity through next year and continue to have it be part of that 20th anniversary celebration. Community celebration events will be able to be held throughout next year until December 31st. So again, a unique event type. We didn't want people to miss out on that opportunity. And so now they have more of a chance to do that. Memory Lane, which is our souvenir challenge, our spring souvenir challenge that was supposed to start on April 6th. We're now planning on starting it June 1st and having it go through January 3rd of 2021. We'll see as we get closer to June 1st if we have to adjust that start time. But we just want to give people as much opportunity to participate in that as possible, as opposed to having a more condensed time frame like we would normally have for one of those souvenir challenges. The cash in, trash out, the season 1 has been extended. It will go until August 31st. So people still have a chance to get that season 1 souvenir. And then season 2 will still be September 1st through, I think it's November 30th, will be the time frame for that at this point. The other couple things were virtual reward 2.0. People now have until the end of this year to submit their, if they received a virtual reward 2.0, they have until the end of this year to submit that for publication. And then Adventure Lab, people that have Adventure Lab credits currently have until August 31st. And again, that's another one of those things that we'll be monitoring how things are going. We want people to be able to use those credits and put out Adventure Lab. So if it turns out that it looks like a lot of people aren't getting to do that because of various restrictions, then we'll see if we have to adjust that as well. So all of this stuff is subject to change, of course. We're all figuring it out as we go along. And the ultimate goal is to enable people to still participate and make and have these opportunities and not have it be ruined by this terrible virus that's ruining so many other things.
We have a very active chat, and
Yes.
working to keep up here. We have a question from Keats. It says, is HQ handing out more community celebration events?
We're still doing them every month, because we had 2,000 a month, and that's still going to continue going on. But yeah, so the answer is yes. But whether we're going to do more than we were originally planning on, that I'm not sure of right now.
Sure. And C. Michelle says HQ should give out cash slumps awards for those of us that can't currently go geocaching.
There's a lot of ideas we've heard, believe me.
I bet.
Let's see.
Also,
Go ahead.
I was going to see Michelle also commented much earlier about you putting all the events together, still working to keep them all in the same week. That he says it's just awesome for the international travelers.
Yeah. What part of Australia is C. Michelle from?
I don't know. We'll see in the chat.
I want to see the West Coast.
Once you ask the question, the answer will come.
That's right.
And Forrest Ghost asks, curious if there's any updates on when AR caches might be coming back.
I will just say stay tuned. It's something that I think we've said before, that's something that we're very interested in and we've been working on. And stay tuned.
Looks like New South Wales. Is that NSW?
East Coast.
Mm-hmm. East Coast.
Yeah.
Yep. New South.
I was hoping maybe I would have, when I was there last year, maybe I would have, but I was not in New South Wales.
Yeah. Kamakina just said the South part.
Yeah.
All right. What else do we have? We asked about Adventure Labs, so we got the answers on that. I think that was all. Is that all the non-FATAS things that came up?
I think so.
Oh, I've got the chat lackey waving at me, but it said FATAS, so I wasn't going to get to it until the after show.
Oh, we just changed the hashtag.
All right. So that's how this works now. All right. So GSM times 2 is asking, I guess it's a question for everybody in the show, but also, I'd be really interested, Rock Chalk, what your answer would be to this. But it's aside from canceling reservations, what did people do when they heard the announcement? So Rock Chalk, once you knew this was a thing, what was the first thing you did?
Got ready to announce it.
Yeah, I still haven't canceled my Airbnb for Seattle, so I have to do that.
Come on
I
down.
had a little more notice than other people, but
Yeah, no, most of what I did was work related around that. So I haven't really had, fortunately living here, didn't have to, most of what I've personally had to do has been like, I was supposed to go to a mega actually next week in France. So that's what I've been doing, is wrangling with the airline over trying to get my airfare back for that.
Yeah.
So, but fortunately haven't had to deal with Airbnbs or all that stuff. Although maybe next year I'll stay at Jay's Airbnb. We'll have to look into that.
There you go.
Maybe you'll be staying somewhere better than I'm staying.
Well, now I've got a year. I have to work on the renos. So
There you go.
That's right.
Yeah, my procrastination paid off. I hadn't made any lodging reservations yet, so I'm good there. But I was supposed to be in California this weekend. I'm supposed to be there tonight for a festival seminar thing, but that didn't happen. But I did get my airfare back, at least airline credit. So
There you go.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
What else do we want to cover before we start wrapping things up? Actually, Rock Chalk, did you have anything else that you wanted to share from an HQ perspective or a personal perspective with respect to the postponement, the rescheduling?
No, I think we've covered all the points. I just think the overarching feeling from our standpoint is, again, bummed out that we had to do it, but we were, because we're so looking forward to it. There's so much energy at HQ around this event. So many folks that want to be part of helping get ready for it, and so we just kind of had this countdown going on, and so it's just such a bummer to delay it. But we're all hugely looking forward to next year, and gonna do everything we can to make it something that people won't want to miss, and that it'll truly be one of those once in a lifetime things that you always look back on, and we're glad that you were a part of.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sure. Very well said.
We do have a question for you from GSM times 2. He's asking if you've been out geocaching.
I have just a little bit. Yeah, my wife and I have gone out a few times where, close to our house, and just tried not to get too far away, and tried to just go places where no one else was going to be around. I remember one day there was this undeveloped park that I knew had a couple of caches that I'd been meaning to go to, not too far from where we live. And we pulled up, and it was a really beautiful Saturday. And it was, like I said, it's an undeveloped park, so there isn't official parking, but people were parked along the road, and there were so many cars. And I looked over into that area, and there was just people running with their dogs, and there's so many people. And we just said, no, we can't keep going, keep driving, So we've been avoiding areas like that, and instead trying to, see if we can find some quiet park and grab or things of that nature. I'm chomping at the bit to hopefully get out and do some of the caching that you typically enjoy doing this time of year, whether it be here or, I mean, as you guys know, it's really easy to just get in the car and go up to BC, or go down to Portland, or go over to the east side of Washington. There's so many possibilities here, and it's just killing me to, just not be able to do that. But it's obviously for the best that we just plan those trips rather than take them right now.
Yeah, that's the right call.
Well, Rock Chalk, your your competitive nature is well known. And
Is
so Three Ham says you've probably done another fizzy loop while under.
Oh my gosh. My fizzy skills are diminishing now in this time.
Well,
I'm having to not even think about it right now.
Yeah,
That's funny though to bring that up.
I was going to mention Jeannie asked about GeoWoodstock's change, and intentionally was not really talking about it tonight. We were going to talk about HQ's celebration tonight, and what we'll do is we will have another show coming up the next few weeks where we'll bring on the rest of the GeoWoodstock team. We'll talk about that, and we're also thinking about doing a special show with a special guest to talk about the planning for the maze. So hang tight. We will get to that stuff. We've got lots of time now, but we will definitely talk about those things.
Nice. We haven't run out of things to talk about.
No.
I don't know if you can believe that or not.
350 plus episodes in. Yeah,
that's right. And
we're still talking to each other, which is also good.
I know. And we actually enjoy each other. I don't know how that happened. Somebody said it was like 472 days to GeoWoodstock.
That's probably accurate if it came from Christy.
I think it did.
There you go.
So, Rock Chalk, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on. This is probably staying up a little later than you're used to. And look at, you're still smiling. So we appreciate it.
It is a little late for me. We've kind of gotten into a pattern now during this quarantine time where, it's pretty early when we start to turn in. And actually, Jay, you'll be glad to know that we've been watching Schitt's Creek now.
Oh, which you're getting all Canadianized.
We're getting very Canadianized by watching Schitt's Creek each night before we go to bed. So it's a nice, relaxing Canadian program that gets us ready to sleep. And then I'm usually up early in the morning to go out for a bike ride before too many other people get out. And so that does require me to be in bed around this time, but I'm glad to delay my bedtime to spend some time with you folks and everybody in the chat.
It's always a pleasure to be on the show with you. And I was going to say, if you need to practice a little more Canadian before you come up, also corner gas and Letterkenny. So
I have tried corner gas, and that's that is a fun one as well, but I haven't watched that other one.
Letterkenny's a little rougher around the edges, so just
okay.
Yeah,
I'll keep it in mind.
I binged all of Corner Gas over the last 6 months or a year, so yeah, that was a good series.
Just don't bring up Woolerton.
Oh, Jay got me onto a Border Patrol series. That one's interesting. It's on Netflix. I think it's called Border Patrol. Anyway,
I can never remember what that show's called, but yeah, that's a fun one.
That's interesting. What people try to get away with.
Awesome.
Well, folks,
yep.
Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Now, we've got more episodes of Caching in the Northwest coming up. I know it's a surprise. We've only done 352. We're not done yet. Next week, we are going to have a puzzle solving episode with Team AJK, Jennifer from Team AJK, the J of AJK. You're not going to want to miss it. She's great. And then 2 weeks out, we're going to have e-learning with Adventure Smart BC.
Always a good content in those episodes. That takes us to mid-May when we're going to do Hands Across the Border. Remember a year ago when we did Hands Across the Border? It was a great event. How's it going to look this year? Well, we'll see. Maybe it's Elbows Across the Border. Maybe it's, Live Long and Prosper across the border. We'll see. But you'll have to tune in on May 14th so that we can do that.
Our chat lackey is freaking out right now saying, Hands Across the Border is canceled. We know.
Yeah, the main event, the official event is canceled, but we're going to maybe bring some...
We're doing something special. Don't worry about it. We got it, man.
You know us. This is Thursday night. Thursday night at 9 o'clock. We bury the internet with traffic, and we don't actually go geocaching. We just talk about it. So,
And we make stuff up because the points don't mean anything.
that's
Right.
right. Yeah. Yeah. That's
All
how I
right.
win, because the points don't matter.
That's right. Well, and this is the point in the show where I make the shark magically appear again, and we take a moment to thank Landsharks, our corporate Denali level sponsor. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store, so check them out online. They are still shipping orders daily. We also want to thank our faithful Denali level supporters, of course, Landsharks, but also JP's Geo Designs, Limax, Team Squirrel, and Groovy Owl. And hey, if you want to know more about supporting this show, click that Patreon link on the cachingnw.com, a website.
That's right. And I realized 3 out of 5 of our Denali level supporters are animal-based names.
Mm.
After all these times, it just clicked it now. Hey, but we have other supporters like Kid Vegas 19
And Team Noltex,
Ackerdoc,
and Kennel Barb,
GeoNav Pros,
MC3 Cats,
Trexer 0,
and Teus,
Noon Buddy,
T Sayer,
Winos Seattle,
Sprouter,
Kitty Quest,
the Geo Travelers,
Tick Magnet,
Billy Robson,
Senders of the Glow, that's Wet Coaster and Greenwords,
Nerve,
Seebeck Tribe,
Fairwood West,
Genies.
oh, that's me.
That's
Subway
you, buddy.
Was
Boomer
that usually
365.
Yeah,
What's that?
usually I'm the one who screws up. That's good. It's somebody else.
Boomer
Margaret?
365. Okay, go ahead.
GSM times 2,
Broncos fan for life.
CRS 98,
Camp Clan,
Sege Hove.
Dora Moore,
Kev MacD,
Hello Robrick.
The Highlands Guy,
LG 9000,
B Pendragon.
Keats 94,
and our newest one, On a Boat.
On a boat.
still on a boat.
Thank you to all of them, and thank you again to Rock Chalk for putting up with us yet another time. We love having you. If people want to send you condolence notes for having to survive another Thursday with us, where would they find you?
Probably the best place is on Instagram. GeoRockChalk is my handle there.
Where did they send the Nanaimo bars?
That would be to
Oh.
Withen's house.
That's right.
And we'll make sure you get some, Chris. Don't worry, you'll get some.
Yeah.
Send
On
them,
their way
send them
down
to
to Jim's house.
HQ, and I will get down there and I will grab them before anybody else can.
I'm telling you that table you have in the break room is usually covered with treats that people send in. I'm just amazed.
Sometimes, yeah. Then we also have actually our main baker at the office is Linda, and that's one of the big things we've been missing lately. We've been talking about not getting Linda's treats at HQ, so we're all looking forward to being back to have those.
Nice.
All right. How about Land Monkey?
Well, you know what? Just go to landmonkey.ca. That's where you're going to find all the latest YouTube videos and info about the book. The book, yay!
Yay,
Hey,
the
and
book.
today is International Book Day. So,
I saw you posted that. Yeah.
so it's
Author
kind of
man.
cool.
Any book
It-
or just
celebra-
international books?
celebration of books.
Book 'em, Dano.
That's right. But yeah, landmonkey.ca. You can find all the stuff there, and go to geowoodstock.com if you want to find out about that. There you
And who
go.
wouldn't?
Yeah, Wits End, my friend.
Yo,
Where do people find you?
here Thursday night, geocaching.com message center, Twitter, Facebook, those things. I'm what's in almost all those places. And as much as I can to try to monitor 146.52. How about Chris?
I don't know about numbers, but you can find me at cachingnw.com or just cachingnw on Twitter, Facebook, Caching in the Northwest over there on the Grams or the Instas.
Hmm.
I'm not sure which half of the word you're supposed to use anymore. You can head over to cachingnw.com/host, read our bios, find our contact information and other interesting tidbits and trivia. Maybe we'll have a trivia contest one night of what's in the bios and see if anybody read it.
Did you say Timbits?
Tidbits.
Oh, Okay, I lost interest now.
Yeah. I can't get across the border to get Timbits.
Yeah.
Folks, we thank you for listening to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Don't forget that you can be part of the show. Call into 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or let us borrow your Flowbee any time of the day or night. Of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website and subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Give us a thumbs up or even a review. The show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, and Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2020 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, I got through all that just to say, stay tuned for
The after show.
You did it.
Man, we've got a lot of things in the after show already.
Yeah.
Oh, it's busy. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Busy day. Wow. Yeah. There is a lot of stuff.
Also, I can co-host a trivia night for you guys.
Well, that sounds like a deal he may get taken up on.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk. I'll be in touch, Craig.
Ham wants to know, Land Monkey, have you tried the Timbit cereal yet?
I saw it advertised on TV for the first time recently. I thought, really? That's a thing? That needs to be a thing?
Isn't it just old Timbits that have dried out?
Yeah, it kind of looks like it. I'll tell you that. It doesn't look like a good idea. I'll just put it that way.
Somebody in marketing said, we could sell it.
And we could make a cereal. What could possibly go wrong?
That's, I remember growing up, the cookie cereals had just come out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, you're not having cookies for breakfast. Oh, okay.
It's a good try, though.
All right. So there you go. But donuts for breakfast.
So we've got a FATAS just wished GSM times 2 happy birthday in voluntary isolation. So I take it it's GSM times 2's birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Should we all sing?
This is your birthday
No.
song. It isn't very long.
The end. That was merciful.
Oh, let's see. Mr. Landshark says, I discovered that in Cachly, you can set the icons to show a clock symbol if the cache is old. You can control how old. Use it to show caches over 48 hours since last found. So COVID-19 safe.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's a smart feature. Once again, Cachly to the rescue, right?
Yeah.
Good app. Good
When are they
app.
making that Android version?
I don't know. Let's bring him back on the show and ask. He loves that question.
Yeah.
Oh, we keep asking. He's going to stop coming. Let's see. GSM times 2 says, what geocaching things have you been doing if you can't be going geocaching?
Yard work. That's
A lot of things around the house.
yeah.
Yeah, yard. My yard is torturous. I've got to get professional help.
Well, yeah,
then
we do that.
But I got my bike out. Got that, tuned up, so I've been riding a little bit.
I did too. The battery held up. It started right up and went for a nice ride last weekend.
The battery on mine held up too. I mean, all the gears seem to work, and it's all me powered.
Yeah.
I was practicing isolation inside my full face helmet there. So
There you go.
Ooh,
Speaking of
what we need to do.
Speaking of riding bikes, I know Rock Chalk, you're famous for your commute to work and home with your bike rides. And so the other day I was messaging Rock Chalk and I said, hope the commute's going well and Rachel isn't too upset about you riding the bike in the hallway.
yeah.
But
no, I've still been getting out every morning, and just my commute ends back at the house.
Right.
That's all.
I was going to ask, because like last year you hit some sort of personal record for miles biked, didn't you?
I did. I got to 10,000 miles for the year.
Wow.
So that was my previous best was like 5,000 and something the previous year. And then last year, once I eclipsed 5,000 like by I don't know, July. And then I thought, maybe if I get really nuts about this, I can get to 10. So I made it a goal, and I got to 10. And I don't know if it'll happen this year or not, because
there's a lot of things that aren't going to happen this year.
Yeah, I've got to, when going to work to and from every day, I can pile up a good 40 miles round trip. So it's just kind of the high miles took care of themselves, but now not quite as many as I was getting last year. But
well, if you need to set a new record, just move farther away.
That's that's right.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah.
I find working from home, I tend to work longer because there's not the movement around the office of, oh, hey, it's time to leave. Yeah. Or, time to go to lunch.
Right.
And I'll be at my computer. It's 2:00.
Yeah.
I should probably eat something for lunch. And, well, now it's almost dinner. Maybe I won't.
Yeah, that's a great point. I found that I've been looking at, I have this watch that keeps track of steps, and it gives you a goal step every step total every day. And normally when you go to work and it's normal times, my goal is something like 6,000 or 7,000 steps a day. Well, now it's down to like 3.
Yeah.
It's like 3,000. I think my watch is just saying, dude, what's up? I mean, get up and move around a little bit, because normally you're sitting at your desk, you walked at HQ, you might walk over to the other side of the office to talk to somebody and back and what have you. And now it's just, well, I walked over to the TV and to the 5 steps over here to the kitchen and what have you. So, but no, to Chris's point, I've kind of been the same way. It's, you just kind of find yourself, instead of maybe if you're at the office, get up and walk to talk to somebody or have lunch or whatever, you find yourself more, stationary than you should be. So really about the only thing my wife and I she works from home all the time. So it's nothing new for her, but we try to break it around lunchtime and have lunch together. And
So
that's something.
You're cramping her style then.
That's what I think. I think for the first few weeks she kind of enjoyed having me around, but now I'm sure she's too nice to say it, but I think she'd probably, I could deal with him not being around quite as much.
The novelty has worn off.
I think maybe I would think it would.
My wife has demanded a key to the executive washroom. That's all I
That's the bush out back when the girls are in the bathroom, right?
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. The dog's not fond of it, but it's a dog. Now, I also hear that it's another day of celebration. It's the Land Monkeys anniversary.
Yeah.
It is.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice.
Congratulations to Mrs. Land Monkey. She deserves a medal.
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
Or something. But yeah, we managed to, still make it a little bit special today, even, with everything going on. So it was my first opportunity to try and use DoorDash, and I've never really tried that out before. So we had we usually go out for sushi on our anniversary. So I had sushi delivered from our favorite sushi restaurant. And I found a way to pick up some lava cake for dessert. Cake.
Oh,
so
nice.
And I went down into the wine cellar and had chilled a bottle of her favorite wine. So, still managed to make it a nice evening.
Good for you.
Wait, you had raw fish and then lava cake.
Yes. That's how you cook raw fish.
Could have been nice and warm if you put all that together.
Yeah. So no, we made it into a good evening anyways. And, you make the best of it. She's run for 26 years. So.
Wow.
She does deserve a medal.
Yeah.
She does. I suggested on the internet earlier today that the medal that she gets should actually be for not having to explain mysterious piles of dirt appearing in the backyard and nobody hearing from me for a period of time.
My son is taking a film class this semester, and so we have to watch classic films. And it's been a long time since I watched Rear Window.
Good movie.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
Very good film. And when you watch it as a film, to analyze it, it's even better. It's like, wait, this all just works so well. Yeah, great film.
That's cool.
Yeah, we went through a huge Jimmy Stewart phase a while back, and just growing up, I only really knew Jimmy Stewart as kind of a joke on SNL. Dana Carvey did a great Jimmy Stewart, and then once I started watching the movies like Rear Window, and Harvey is maybe my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, Harvey,
and
yeah.
oh, it's such a great movie, but yeah, Rear Window and it is fantastic.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. Go back and watch some of those really good movies, some of those old suspense films. Yeah, there's some really good ones. The Manchurian Candidate, the original one, was really good too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not Jimmy Stewart, but it's still a really good movie from that same period.
The original one is good.
Harvey was a puka.
Citizen Kane, and I don't think I've watched that one all the way through. It was fine.
That's one I've not seen. I need to see that one.
It's got some very good film effects in it for how old it is. So
there you go.
Okay. Well, there are other questions here.
There are. Keats wants to know. So, Rock Chuck, let us know what you think about this one. I'm not sure what the answer is, but he wants to know, why do Adventure Labs have a find count for each stage you visit, each waypoint?
As opposed to having just a single find for completing
the whole adventure.
The whole adventure.
What the question is? Sure. Let's say that's the question.
Well, I think because these things originated as lab caches, that was the paradigm that people were used to, was having, one find for each lab cache, and then the adventure is essentially a collection of lab caches. So that's how it has been to start with. I wouldn't try to predict that that's always going to be how it is. This is, again, I think one thing we try to always remember is that the Adventure Lab app is still essentially a beta thing, and we're getting feedback, and we're like that question and seeing, okay, do people want this to be one find for every individual lab cache within the adventure as a whole, or do they want it to be a single find just for that adventure? So that's one of those things that we're going to be getting feedback from people and seeing what they think, and who knows, maybe it would change in the future, but I think that's just kind of the easiest thing to start with, was to continue on the way that it's been, which is to have one find for each one of those labs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Good answer.
And that was the question.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good. Hey, and
nice interpretation.
Speaking of Keats, one of the highlights of my weekend was the appearance on the TV show. I managed to catch it, and Swallowtail Jig. That's one of my favorite songs. Look at him.
There he is.
Yeah, I didn't know he spelled his last name that way, but otherwise, it's great.
Yeah.
Did he spell out 94?
There he is.
That was a great job.
It was a great job. It was really neat to see somebody on the television, and and he did a fantastic job. So congrats, Keats, and thanks for letting everybody know you were going to be on, because that was a lot of fun to watch.
That was. I would never have caught it. So great job.
Now, is he playing the violin or the fiddle?
Yes.
The fiddle.
Oh, let's see. Komakino asks, will we have caches being placed and activated in May? I don't know yet. That is a regional decision to have the caches not published. That's the word I was thinking of. So
isn't that made, like, that HQ isn't making that call? That's made by the reviewers for whatever particular area. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. Yeah, the reviewers have the leeway to make what they feel is the best call for their area based on the guidance that the health authorities and the governments are giving in those areas. And so it's a pretty wide range of policies and it's, as you would imagine, been in stages in various places. So there were parts of Europe, for instance, where we first started seeing that, for instance, events being restricted, and then it became physical cache hides being restricted. But again, it varies depending on the region and depending on how this whole pandemic is affecting each place, because it varies pretty wildly.
Yeah, for sure. Had a great question from Helen.
I was going to say, Threeham says Jasmer dies in April 2020 for various states and provinces. It might be a bigger challenge, right, in the future.
Travel, yeah.
You know what? I think there's probably enough places proximate. Europe might have some challenges for sure, but over here in North America, you'll have to travel a little bit. But I mean, you got to travel for other Jasmer caches, so that's just part of the game.
There was an interesting point that I hadn't thought about that I saw the other day, was that some folks did hide a cache in April, and it won't be published maybe until later, but the hidden date would still be April. So that is something to consider too. But yeah, it will be interesting to look back months from now and see what the number of hidden caches in April looks like compared to other months, and of course May as well. And as we see how long this thing goes on for and how it continues to affect things.
Well, and we are seeing See My Shell and Chosen 1978 both saying in New Zealand and Australia it is a problem, and that would be a pretty big problem. Like if you're in New Zealand or Australia, it's a lot tougher to get somewhere where caches were published. But all the more reason to come to the Northwest next August.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Helen from Landsharks had a great question for you, Rock Chalk. Are there any specific caches on your bucket list that you are going to go immediately out and find once this is all over?
I don't know about specific caches. For me, it's more just about experiences that I would normally be looking forward to having here in the Northwest now that we're getting into spring, and you start thinking about the snow is going to melt and some of those higher elevations become more accessible. And again, I've been kind of chomping at the bit to make that 2-hour drive up across the border and find some caches there in BC, or zip over to Eastern Washington and spend a weekend around Spokane or Tri-Cities, or go down south to Portland. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I love about living out here, is that you can make those day trips or those weekend trips. And Rachel and I have really been missing that. So I think that's the biggest thing for us once restrictions start getting lifted, is being able to go and have those weekend experiences that we so cherish having up here in the Northwest.
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge for us as well. It's very dramatic to say it's killing me. I mean, this really isn't that big a sacrifice in the big picture, but boy, do I ever miss our road trips. Yeah.
Well, Rock Chalk, you said that very well, but all I heard is I can't wait to get up to BC and get in Nanaimo bars.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
I actually, when I heard the name Helen, that was immediately my thoughts. So I'll admit to that. I was kind of hoping the question had something to do with wanting to know my address so she could send me something, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Not a problem.
You'll eventually get over it. Yeah.
Oh, and IHAM says, are you planning to do anything special for episode 365?
Of course. Every week is special.
Every week is special. But episode 365 will mean that you can then go back and listen to Caching in the Northwest every day for a year. And
we're sorry.
Yeah, that's...
Wow.
You do need a special medal for that.
Yeah, there's some things you just shouldn't binge. Oh, dear.
Oh, one suggestion was to interview people who've done a 365-day streak.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah. And then next week we can do those who've done a 366-day streak.
Yeah.
It's a little smaller pool.
Yeah, it gets a smaller pool every episode. There you
They're streaking in the pool.
go. Oh, let's not.
Okay.
Oh dear. All right. Well, what do you think, guys? We exhausted the topics for tonight.
I think we're exhausted.
Exhausted.
I mean,
it, yeah?
we've talked about all that we can talk about tonight. I know
Awesome.
we haven't. We could go on for hours. But folks, thank you so much for joining us. And
Mhm.
until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.